All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to get started. If anyone else shows in late, that's no problem. I'm going to ask Marissa and Holly if you guys see anyone. I made you co-hosts and just let them in if I don't happen to catch it. So welcome to Making the Most of Your Provisional Year. This really, over the next hour or so, it's really just to kind of go through a little bit more in detail of what you can expect this next year and how you can really get the most out of it. If you guys have questions, please either chat them. I am trying to keep track of those and I can answer them at any point in time, or just stop me and ask me questions. It's not meant to be just sit there and listen to me kind of thing. By all means, please ask questions. So a quick icebreaker that we are going to have, and then we're going to review the provisional program and then active requirements, some tips and advice, communication information, top 5 questions, and then just some information about a junior league quiz. So the first icebreaker, and since you guys are all online, you guys can actually put this in the chat box. If anyone wants to speak up, you're more than welcome to. But it's, what is your why? Why did you decide to join the junior league? I know for me, it was to make friends because I knew nobody when I moved out here, but curious to know what everybody's why is. So if you can type it into the chat, or if anyone wants to speak out, you are more than welcome to. And I won't call them out by name, but if anyone starts chatting, I will probably be saying them out loud. So
hi, I'm Jennifer. I'd much rather talk than type.
By all means.
I am really excited to be part of Junior League Phoenix. I've been involved in civic organizations in the past in various capacities, and being relatively new here, it gives me a chance to connect better with my community. I very much enjoy service and knowing that out of my abundance, I'm able to reach into the lives of others and make a difference. And I also am looking to make new friends.
Very cool. Anyone else want to speak out?
I'll say my why. So I used to be in social services for over 10 years and I got out of the field. And so I still want to stay connected to the community and also network with, other people and make friends. So yeah, that's my why.
Very cool. Anyone else want to speak up? Not a big deal. Others in the chat are to make new friends, to meet people, to volunteer around the community, to meet ladies, to connect better with Phoenix, making friends, just moving here from New York, community involvement, getting back to the community, new to Phoenix, like-minded individuals, making friends, helping community. So those are just a few that I quickly called out. I wanted to really make this the icebreaker so everyone realizes most everybody that's on this call and most everyone that's been in this session, either one of the 2 other times that it was offered, all have those same whys. So it's just more to make you guys have that awareness and knowledge that saying, hey, people are joining the league for the same reasons that I am. So make sure that you're aware of that when you are meeting people and getting to know them. It's a lot of them have the same reasons why you are there. Why? All right. So then the provisional program, we will go into depth with each of these. But this is kind of the overall program itself. So you have the core series, which there are a total of 12 possible event credits here. There's 8 of them that are required. And this is kind of the base curriculum of learning about the junior league. We have a series called the VP series. There's going to be 6 of them offered throughout the year, and you're required to go to 2 of them. The other one is called the 101 series, and this is currently being created. So if something doesn't get up and running fairly soon, I can cancel those credits out and they're not going to be required. But the idea is to have more fun educational things throughout the year to be able to give you credit for them in that regards. And then the 100% social part. So everything, the first 3 series are all for credits, and then the social is absolutely 100% optional. So to go a little bit in depth about the core series, you're doing 1 credit right now, which is making the most of your provisional year. 2 have already happened, but it's really to kind of dive deep about what's expected of you this year, so you can kind of learn that a little bit better. The other one is digital cheetah training. There's one offered in July, and there's another one offered next Tuesday. In total, I think the first one lasted about a half hour. Again, you can do it virtually or you can do it in person. It will also be recorded, so if you can't make the previous one or the one on Tuesday, you'll be able to watch it. Super Saturday 1 and Super Saturday 2 are very important. Those are both required events as well. Again, if you cannot make them, there will be other ways to be able to make them up. There is a provisional project. I will go more in depth on that for Super Saturday 1, but the project's meant to do either individually or with a group. It's not something 100% specific. It's meant so you can kind of figure out some different skills and learn them of things that you will end up doing on committees when you become an active. Another is attending a committee meeting. So you can go to any committee meeting you want, but it's important to see how the active in the committees work throughout the league. So required to go to one, but you can get credits to go up to 2 of them. 2 other of your required credits are a fall and spring check-in with your advisor. I hope that all of your advisors have reached out to you at this point. If not, please let me know. But in the fall and the spring, you'll have a check-in with them. It can be anything from a 5-minute phone call to just see how you are doing, where you are standing at the year, if you have questions, concerns. But it's meant to be specific. So it can be a phone call. It could be at one of your social gatherings that a few minutes taken out to do that. But those are usually kind of quick check-ins, but each of those are an event or credit. So all the ones that I just talked about are the absolutely like 8 required things you have to do. The optional ones is there's going to be a provisional day of service. Right now it's scheduled for October 30th. There is a rummage deep dive where we will go very much in depth about rummage, about what quota looks like, what a shift looks like, what to expect for rummage, anything along that nature. That is optional, but very encouraged. And there will also be a placement deep dive come January. The specific date is still to be determined, but that will go in depth about how placement works, how once you become an active, where you go. So we have elected, appointed leadership positions, and then we have pre-placement and placement, pre-placement and the lottery. So there's a couple different ways, and ultimately when it comes to placement it's really up to you. You get to kind of help select the things that you're interested in, but it's good to know that we have about 33 committees right now within the league. So you can change that depending on the position every year or 2 years, depending on the positions that you're in. Any questions so far? So next is the VP series. So we'll learn more about the org chart at Super Saturday 1, but we have technically 7 different VPs and they all have committees underneath them. So each committee or each VP has a night. We're putting DE&I and membership together, but each of them have a night where all of their committees will come in and talk about what they do, the expectations of their committee, when they meet, and for you to get a chance to ask them questions. We purposely do this so you can get to know a little bit more, so you can learn more about the committees and decide, oh, I want to go learn more about that committee. I'll go reach out to that chair so I can find out when they're meeting. So you can see there's a lot of committees on here. The first one will be September 21st, which is our community night, and then training and Toastmasters, and goes on from there. These again will all be hybrid. So if you can't make it in person, we'll have the virtual option, and there also will be recorded. So if you can't make a night, you're out of town, things like that, you're able to at least still get that information. It's going to be really unique and different. It's a new series that we are starting this year. We used to do it with 1 or 2 of them, but we wanted to encompass everybody to really get that broad overview. You are required to go to 2 of these nights. And again, those can be in person, virtual, or watching it after the fact. Anything you watch after the fact, there's going to be a short 5 to 10 question quiz just to make sure you got the highlights of what was being talked about during that event. All right. Next is the 101 series. Again, this is something that is being created currently. They will most of them will be either pre-recorded sessions or something to do in person. One of the ideas that we have had as a team is, how to make a charcuterie report or something like that. That's fun, but also educational. Or it's going to be more in depth about how does the league view training and the training paths that we have, and how does that work within the league, or the different types of memberships we have, and going more into detail about them. So just helpful, more in-depth information on different topics. Again, this is being created, so if this can't get pushed out within the first half of the year, at least some of them being available, then I will remove those credits from everyone, but most likely there'll be some opportunities here that you can have some fun learning some different things. And the next part is the social part. So this part is the one that's completely optional, but also I would say probably one of the most important things to get involved with. We will have a provisional brunch. Your group will have social get-togethers, happy hours, and whatnot as a provisional program. And then there'll also be opportunities throughout the league to get involved with things too. There is a fantasy football league that's starting in a couple weeks. There will also be membership appreciation events that are absolutely optional to go to that are a lot of fun. But that's where you really start meeting the women and connecting to them to have those networking opportunities to make those friendships. So yes, the education and training are super important, absolutely. The social part is absolutely impeccably important to making your year and really start connecting with the women that are in the league. All right, so then your active requirements. These requirements are required from every single person in the league that is active. So what I just went over is just the provisional requirements. So you almost have to think of that your provisional year is kind of your placement for that year, is being in a provisional and learning as much as you can about the league. And then everyone also has active requirements. So in this case, you have to go to 4 events. So those can be a training, volunteer shifts, our general membership meetings, which are GMMs, town halls, a fundraising shift. Anything that has an event credit, you can go to and get your credits that way. Rummage, every single person in the league does a 4-hour rummage shift, and then also provides $150 of rummage quota. Quota, that's more or less things that you would tend to donate to places. I know for me, I end up getting FabFitFun boxes or things like that that I don't use. And anything that's new that still has a sticker on it, it's 25% of the value is what your quota is that you can donate it to. There's also, will be starting September 19th, large item pickups or lip shifts. And it's actually a volunteer shift that you can do as an event credit, but people will go around in huge U-Hauls and pick up furniture and different things like that from either people in the league or community members that want to donate that to us. But rummage quota is there. And then dues will be starting to talk about more towards January, but in order to be active the following year, you have to pay your dues in the spring. And they are usually due right around March timeframe, but they'll start talking about that more, but that is a requirement. And then also to be placed. So talking about placement, for me, like I have to do my placement as being the provisional chair. All my advisors have their placement as being the advisor for them. So they get marked off as a placement, but for you guys, it's really completing that provisional course. So just to get an idea of what this looks like for the provisional requirements, on the bare minimum you have to get is 12. So those are all the different things. As you can see, the fall check-in and spring check-in are on there. They're each, 2 different points. You're getting one tonight. I know you're seeing 12, like, oh, wow, that's a lot, but they really do come off pretty easily. And then the 4 active requirements plus the rummage. Any questions so far? Okay. So advice and tips. The next couple of slides, you're going to hear me talking a lot of stories and different things. One of the best advice that I got, and I've heard a lot of other people say this as well, when I first got in the league, I asked, what advice would you give to somebody? And they said to me, point blank, you'll get out of it what you put into it. So if you want the bare minimum, absolutely put the bare minimum in it. If you really want to get out of a lot out of this league, you need to put your effort into there, going to events and putting yourself out there. I know it can be scary, but at the same time, it is the only way you're going to learn and remember what your why is in order to really accomplish why you joined this league to begin with. The biggest part is to play, have fun, and learn. Every single event you go to, you have an opportunity to learn and enjoy something, and really take that mindset when you go into any types of trainings or meetings. I know sometimes you're like, oh, it's another meeting, but you end up learning something or connecting with someone and making a friendship or learning something new that you never would have otherwise. Attend as many things as you can. You do have the bare minimum you have to go to, but there is no maximum. It's not something where it's like, oh, you've gone to 10 events now, you have to stop going to things until other people catch up. You truly can go to as many things as you want. I will say though, that you do have to sign up for volunteer shifts, because a lot of volunteer shifts, we're only allowed to have so many people at certain shifts. So you do have to make sure you sign up in that sense, but by all means, sign up and go to as many things as you can. The other thing with that is jump in. I know it's scary not knowing anybody necessarily, but getting that opportunity to just jump in and go is huge. Most every single junior league event you will go, someone will be wearing a red t-shirt. That is kind of our big thing, is saying, hey, if you're going to a volunteer event, if you're doing this, wear red so anyone knows, like, oh, you're with the league. Now mine actually says junior league on it. You guys can't quite see that with what I'm wearing on it right now, but wearing red is super important in that regards. But so jumping in isn't as scary as you think. And most anyone in the league, if they're there, they want to meet other league members as well. ask questions. You can ask questions to each other. Just if you're like, oh, I didn't catch that. What is that? Ask questions to your advisor. Ashley, who's not on tonight, my chair-elect, you can ask to her or to me. Honestly, almost any in the league, you can go and ask questions to, but ask questions if you have them. There is no harm or foul in asking questions, and that's the best way. If something's unclear, so you can get that response, and most likely, if you have that question, somebody else does too. Participate in group chats or Facebook groups. So I know not everyone does social media. I know some groups say, nope, I want to do texting. I know one group is like that right now, and another group has Group Me. The biggest thing though is participate on your group information, whether that's on Facebook, whether that's on a group message, in what other platform you guys have decided on, participate. It is very frustrating for advisors to reach out and you guys not to respond. So make sure if you are, participating, I'm not saying you guys have to talk all day long by any means in the world, but if someone is, asking a question, make sure that you do answer in a reasonable amount of time. If your advisor is planning something, let them know if you're going to attend or not. Those kinds of things. And if it changes, give them the FYI. It is super frustrating to plan a happy hour and everyone's supposed to meet up and 5 people said they would go and 1 person shows up. It's like, oh, okay. No, many times it's for good reasons, but it's nice to be in the loop of what's happening. So the biggest thing I say is participate and have that communication with everybody in your groups. Learn Digital Cheetah. There's both a mobile app and a desktop app. I would say learn it. If you haven't been to the Digital Cheetah yet, there's another one coming up, and that of course will be recorded. But learning it and being aware of it, because that is truly where all of the Junior League information is. So we have announcements that are constantly going on. The calendar has all the events for trainings and for volunteer shifts. We have forms and docs that has everything you can possibly imagine that you would want to know about the league. Mark things on your calendar. So when you do sign up for something, make sure you mark it off on your calendar and you commit to being there. That goes for both the social part of it and for any of the events that you have registered to attend to. Especially with our volunteer shifts, if you need to cancel for any reason and it's outside 72 hours, you're fine. Inside a 72 window hour, you guys have to find a replacement or you have to make up an event credit. That is because our partners are counting on us in order to show up to those events. So it's really important that when you say you can go to something, that you go to it. So make sure that you're marking things in your calendar and it doesn't slip your mind in that sense. And you're like, oh, I would have gone if I had just marked it down. Whether you are a digital person or you are a paper person. For me, I'm a paper person and I use stickers all over my notebook to let me know what's going on. That's just for me. But if whatever it is, make sure you mark that on your calendar of what you need to do. Push out of your comfort zone. I know that it's scary, but pushing out of your comfort zone to try something new is super important. That first couple events that you go to, you might not know anybody, but you will. And the following events that you go to, you'll see the similar people and you'll start making those friendships and bonds. So the best thing you can do is really push out of that comfort zone. So Marissa just commented in the chat. I don't know if anyone's following along, but if you do any reason, do you need coverage? Posting it in the JLP Facebook group page. Usually someone can cover if you can. If you're not on Facebook, letting your advisor know so they can help post it for you, and or on your group chat to your other provisional members is also a great way to do that. So I'm going to kind of combine these next 2 things because they're somewhat go together. So get to know other members of the league. We have sustainers who are usually 7+, have been in the league for quite a while. They're no longer active, but they help sustain the league. You have our 7+ active members, actives and provisionals. Get to know everybody. It doesn't mean truly you can't get to know everyone. I take that back. There's over 1,000 women in the league. It'd be very difficult to get to know everybody, but push yourself and get to know people that you might not necessarily always get to know. It's last year we started this during the pandemic where we would do coffee dates and we would purposely try to help people connect that would never have connected otherwise. So if you ever want to do something like that, by all means, if you're not sure how, reach out to me, reach out to your advisor, or use Digital Cheetah and reach out and say, hey, I saw that you used to be in this committee within the league. Can you tell me more about your experience here? By all means, absolutely use that and do those types of things. So the biggest part is really reaching out, pushing out of that comfort zone. Some other advice and tips. Find shifts and trainings that interest you. you will truly have, oh, I see someone raise their hand. Go for it. You have a question?
Yes, I do. Could you please define 7+ and you've already changed the screen now, so I don't know what the other word was. Providers,
Provisional.
sustainers.
Sustainers. Yep.
Yeah.
So 7+, we have a couple different membership areas in the league. You have provisionals, which is the majority of you guys on this call. Actives are anywhere between your first year active to 7-year active. They have specific requirements that are outlined in our bylaws. 7+ are actives that have been in the league active for more than 7 years. They just have slightly different requirements. They can choose to serve on a committee. They don't have to. They can, there's something else that they can do that like they don't have to, but it's because they've been in the league for so long, they can kind of select to step back a little bit, but they still want to be more involved than not. And our sustainers, there's 2 different ways to be a sustainer. One is being over 7 years in the league and deciding to go to do that. Sustainers typically do not serve on any committees or do not go to any of our training events as attendees. They might help put something on or be a speaker at them, but they're not attending to them to as a training event in that sense. The other way to be a sustainer, as of right now, it's being an active for 3+ years and being over the age of 40. So that just different life things in that sense. So those are the different types of membership in that regards. Does that help?
Stephanie. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So finding the shifts and trainings that interest you. We have volunteer shifts in probably 40+ different community of events. So find the ones that interest you and do those. Same thing with the trainings. Not all trainings are the same. Even year to year, the trainings are fairly different. They're always trying to pull membership of what they want to see so they can better serve us. Everyone here is a volunteer, so they're always looking of like, what does everyone want and how can we provide that to them? So find those shifts in the trainings that interest you. I know for me, some of the best shifts that I ever did, one of the trainings that I loved was at the botanical gardens. We learned about succulents and how to transplant succulents and how to grow them. Absolutely loved it. I am not a botanical gardener by any means of the world, but I got to learn a lot and that was a lot of fun. There's different ones on etiquette training. There's been ones on learning Excel more or public speaking. There's such a wide variety of different things. And depending if it's a formal training or if it's an in-home, might be a little bit different in that regards, but they are super fun. So find the ones that interest you and go to them. Attend provisional group gatherings. I cannot stress to you, I have heard this for years now, both being an advisor myself, last year watching advisors struggle, especially in a virtual world. And I've just seen it year after year where the provisional advisors will plan an event and a lot of the provisionals just don't go. It's very defeating. So if you say you're going to go, please go, or at least communicate that you're not going. So you can start signing up for trainings and events now on the calendar. So I'm going to go back for a second just with this. Most trainings or events, they start sign ups where they open up 30 days in advance. That's partly so then that way people don't forget to mark on their calendars, or they didn't sign up for an event in April and it's September and they're like, oh yeah, absolutely go to that. And then they forget about it. So usually about 30 days in advance is when the events will start popping up. I know, for example, Super Saturday 1, you're able to open yet. Yep, yes. But if they're not open, you can still view all the information. Depending on what the event is, the people might not have gotten around to filling in all the information. Super Saturday 1 just got filled in this week with all the information. I still haven't done all the VP series 1, except that they're marked VP series. So same might be going with some of the other events that are going on. But yes, 30 days in advance. And depending on the event, volunteer shifts, it's a 72-hour window that you can unregister it from. I know for provisional events, I'll have it a day beforehand. Usually most I can be flexible on. A lot of other groups can't be. So just be aware of that, because especially when they're looking at spaces and how things are going. And then also be very aware they are starting to have 2 different ones. So if you're attending in person or virtually, you'll see that for the Super Saturday 1. Make sure you're marking the right one so we can properly prepare for how many people are going to be online versus in the actual room. Hope that answers all that stuff. And I know 2 of my advisors are helping out answer things in the chat too. So yeah, attend your provisional group gatherings. I cannot stress this enough. I'm not saying you have to go to all of them, but definitely make an attempt to go to them. Make sure you're letting your advisors know if you are going, if you aren't going, participating in doodle polls if they're looking for dates and times that work for everybody. This is super important, and that's really how you start making some of those friendships. I know there's members in my provisional group I'm still super close with. I know others that have been in the league for 6, 7, 8 years that they still hang out with their provisional group because of the connections they made. So it's super important. And you guys' groups are rather small this year, so you really have that chance to connect with everybody. That said, you can always, by all means, go to other provisional groups as well, or other people. I know the advisors are also looking to pair up here and there, so you guys can meet additional people and have that comfort level. Now, I did say in advance to make sure that you go to what you want and get involved, but I would also say set boundaries for yourself. You can, starting probably in September throughout most of the fall, if you really wanted to, you could go to a junior league event almost every single day. If that's what you want to do, by all means do it. It will be amazing. But you also need to set boundaries for yourself. Everyone still has responsibilities of family and work and other obligations that you are part of, and that's okay. So make sure you do set boundaries for yourself of having a night off here and there and doing those things. So yes, get involved, but make sure you know where your boundaries lie and don't burn yourself out. Learn about AJLI. AJLI is the Associations of Junior League International. So I know you probably already heard in your info session back when you had that the league itself is about 300 leagues throughout the world. So we all go up to the association, and they have trainings that they offer, both online, and then they also have different in-person trainings. We usually send, we have an application process where the Phoenix League will actually send so many people to certain trainings throughout the year. One of the trainings, ODI, they're not doing this fall just because of the pandemic, but usually they always have different trainings and looking at. So if you are interested in it, attend the ones that are online, or you always have opportunities to go to in-person ones and having the league itself pay for it. Sorry, lots of talking. I need to drink water. Ask for help, whether that's your advisor or somebody else. If you need help with something, ask for it. I will say I have never met such a large group of empowering women. Most everybody has either been in your shoes or similar before, so ask for help if you need it. We have a lot of affinity groups. If you are in the Facebook pages, the Provisional Connect one, I've put a lot of our affinity groups already in there, not all of them, but we have a moms group, we have a hiking group, a golfing group, we have a moviegoers group, which one of the league members gets behind the scenes like movie premiere things all the time, and she's constantly posting about them, where it doesn't cost us to go to them at all. There is a Harry Potter book club. There's a regular book club. There is, I'm sure I'm missing tons of them. There's a ton of affinity groups, and it's really fun in that sense to be a part of them. So most of them are on Facebook. So if you're not on Facebook, but you want to get involved, let your advisors or me know, and we can help get you in touch with those women. But it's a great way to also network and meet friends that already have a common interest that you do. I know I kind of got into this a little bit before, but you really won't find a more supportive group. I know when I first joined the league, I jumped right in, and some people found out some goals that I had both professionally and personally. And I have been pushed in the best of ways to help me see my own self, my goals be able to be pushed and seen. So really put yourself out there and let people know what your goals are, because you will be pushed to make sure that you're receiving all the things that you want to in that regards. Check DC often. DC, for those that haven't done it, is Digital Cheetah. There's constantly, especially starting in the fall, you'll start seeing almost every day new volunteer shifts going up or different things happening. So check it often. You don't have to be crazy about it, but definitely check it, be aware of what's happening and what's going on. Don't stress about all this stuff. Yes, it's a lot of information, but it's not as though you have to learn it all today and be ready to go and tell someone else tomorrow. You guys have time to learn it all. So don't stress out. I don't know everything. I will go to the management team or the board or other people as well if I'm not sure of something. Even our president and EVP don't always know everything. So it's okay to ask those questions and say, like, you know what, I don't know, but I'll find out for you. So don't stress out, ask those questions, and just really try to embrace everything. I also say, remember your why that we talked about at the very beginning of this meeting. It is something that, you know, when you get super involved with things, you might forget about it. Remember why you joined the league and really always go back to that of why are you doing these things, and make sure that you're fulfilling that why. Now your why might change throughout the years. Being part of the league of saying, you know what, this year I really want to work on these specific skills. So you're trying a committee that you never would have before, or you're going for a promotion at work and you need to show that you have management experience, so you're chairing a committee. So you have that experience on your resume. Whatever that is, whatever your why might turn into in the future, remember it and embrace that. And just call out any red flags. If you guys are seeing anything weird that's going on, bring them up to me. Let your advisors know by all means. I know this year is going to be a lot different. We just had a COVID policy get updated. So just make sure you guys are aware of what's kind of going on. Call things out if you're not sure or want clarification on it in any way, shape, or form. Any questions so far? All right. So communication, there are a lot of ways the league will communicate with you. So it's good to kind of be aware of what those are. And so you can kind of pick out those, how you're going to receive that information. The league sends out a lot. So sometimes it's hard to digest it all and know, well, what's important? What do I really need to look at? One of the first things is an internal newsletter that comes out around the 15th of every single month. It's called News You Will Use. And it's kind of the bigger highlights of what's going on in the league to make you aware of. It is sent by email, and it goes to your email that's in Digital Cheetah that you put on your provisional application. So just be aware of that. That comes out every single month, and we'll always have different information in there about either past things that went well or upcoming things that are going on throughout the league. Notes and quotes usually come out within a day or two of a GMM. And those are the big announcements or things that happened at that GMM, along as well as if there's a big event coming up with the league, they'll probably have some highlights in there as well. The Junior League does use Facebook quite a lot. We have a lot of different private groups. We have a membership group that's completely private about league information. There's a JLP Connect page where, say, if you're new in the area and you're looking for a gardener or a hairstylist, you can put that and say, hey, I'm looking for a new hairstylist in this part of the valley. Who knows somebody? And you'll get tons of feedback of great, reliable sources. There is the Provisional Connect group in there, and there's also affinity groups. It's not required to be on Facebook, but I will say there are a lot of league members that do connect that way on Facebook. So be aware. If you don't want to be on Facebook, I completely get it. But make sure if you're interested in some of those things that you might ask an advisor or somebody else that does have Facebook, so you can at least somewhat be in queue with that. Your advisor emails. I have not flooded them quite yet. I know they've gotten several emails from me already in the last couple of weeks, but what ends up happening is I'll get information or I need to get things out, and instead of emailing everybody, I email my advisors, and then the advisors disseminate all the information to you. So look at your advisors' emails, whether it's the emails or texts or whatever your group is deciding, or multiple facets of that. Be aware of what is on there. If you have questions, by all means, ask them. But please be aware, there are going to be times that your advisors are going to be asking you questions because I specifically need information to plan events. There will be things in the future about Super Saturday 2. So Super Saturday 2, we will actually be getting on buses and going around the valley and looking at areas that we've made an impact within the Phoenix community at. Well, for that, I need to know how many people are actually going to be here in person. So it's super, super important that I know that information early so we can plan for buses and how to make all these things work. Another part later on in the year, we'll be asking t-shirt sizes because everyone that graduates is going to be getting a t-shirt. So things like that, that there's usually information that the advisors need to get from you, therefore to me. So be aware of the advisors' emails and make sure you're responding to them. And then checking DC member homepage. There's constantly updates that are going on there. There will be a survey throughout the year. Usually there's 2 or 3 surveys that happen throughout a year, just so we know how is everyone liking what we're doing. Do we need to pivot and move, or do we need to keep doing exactly what we're doing? It might take some time to put all the survey results together, but I will tell you right now that the management team absolutely looks and reviews them and truly makes decisions of where to move the league based on those membership survey information. All right, the next thing, top 5. So every single year, the provisional class, we honor the women that have the top 5 event credits, meaning that the women that were most involved, and this is truly based off event credits and event credits alone. So the people that go to the most events throughout the year, the top 5 will be celebrated at both our May celebration and at our provisional graduation that we'll have. We also honor the person that had the most events that they went to throughout the year, and they get a little present and have a title called Provisional of the Year. Last year was the first year I know of in any time recently. We had 2 people tie for Provisional of the Year, so we actually celebrated both of them. But it's something to be aware of. This isn't meant to be a competition of saying, oh, now I have to go to everything, but it is to make you aware that the more you go to, being aware of that there is that award at the end of the year if anyone's ever interested or wants that kind of part of information. Any questions? Okay. So the quiz, I know I mentioned this at the beginning, you're not taking it right now. Probably sometime next week. It might be at the end of next week, the following week. Every single provisional is going to be sent a quiz. What this quiz is meant to be, so we are a training organization. Most training events or different things that you go to, you will get surveys of saying, you know, what did you know pre this event and what do you know after this event? So this quiz, it's purposely meant for you guys not to look up the answers whatsoever. What's to do, it's a 10 question quiz that it's information about the league. It's things that we want you to learn throughout this year. So we don't want you to go dig. That's all information online if you wanted to find it. But what we're looking at is, did the provisional program teach you something this year? So that's the point of it. So now, if you know it, by all means, please answer it correctly. But if you don't know it, don't go look it up. Take guesses. But the point of it is you'll take it now and then the same quiz probably sometime in February and March to show that you guys learned something throughout this year, that you have learned what our mission statement is, things like that. So just be aware of that. It's not meant to be, it's not like you're getting graded on it. Your name's not even on it. It's just to show overall as a provisional class, did we actually teach everyone something about the league? The same thing will go with other trainings that you'll see and go to throughout this year. They happen so that we can prove and show when we submit money for grants or applications for grants, saying like, hey, we had this many training hours and we showed improvements in this topic by this percentage. So we have those data points to go off of. So that's why we ask for that information. So just be aware of that. Oh, Marissa just put something in the chat as well. So that is kind of all I had for today. Do you guys have any other questions or concerns or anything about